All right, it is the big day. We are now officially in the pre-release, I guess, of 4th edition Malifaux. How does it feel to get the game in front of people in a more official capacity here?
It feels great. It's just so nice to see people finally playing it, getting miniatures on the table. I think people are really liking it. I hear it's a lot easier to demo, which is a big part of the goal. Sales are doing great, so it's also a relief. It's been a big project. I'm sure everyone who's been playtesting has put out a lot of work too.
Lots of nights and weekends up late getting feedback.
Exactly. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. What has the process been like? I mean, I know it's been in open beta for a handful of months now. There's been tons and tons of battle reports, lots of data to sift through to do balance changes and all that kind of stuff. What's that process been like, and how do you think it's coming along now?
The process has been long and complicated, and difficult. Edition changes tend to be, and there are a lot of models to deal with. But it's been really great dealing with the community, getting feedback, reading people's reports. I mean, some people even write like little fluff descriptions in their reports, which are really fantastic.
Excellent.
And I think that everyone feels like we've at least listened to them and incorporated. There are people who probably point to abilities like I suggested that one,
Right. I've actually seen people doing just that.
Yeah. Because this is not just about us or me or the devs. Like, it is a community project, and I think we're all really glad to see. But yeah, that's been the best part, just dealing with people, and it's the best part of the process.
Very cool. Very cool. I know. I know you're like very much into the nitty gritty and the kind of game design side of things. Has there been any feedback that you've gotten that surprised you, or like major changes? Maybe not major changes, but things that came out and you expected them to be received one way, but they were received a different way. Maybe something that was really broken that you didn't expect to be broken.
Not really. Most of the stuff that was really broken, I kind of expected to be broken. Maybe I didn't expect it to be that broken, right? Because sometimes you just throw stuff in a wall, see if it sticks. You want to do big, exciting, cool things, and that involves, risking them being broken. And so you're like, look, this is big, exciting, and cool. It's probably broken. And then I find out, like, oh, it's really broken.
If we can abuse it, we're going to abuse it. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not, nothing totally surprised me.
Okay.
But some things, the degree surprised me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Is there anything that you had a heavy hand in as far as the design side goes that you're especially proud of, or that you think came out especially good now that everything's sort of like finalized?
In terms of like base mechanics, I'm really proud of some of the streamlining we did. I think that getting rid of the damage flips was a really good decision. I think power is really popular. People really like being able to use their lower cards. So those are my favorite, top level design stuff. Like individual crews, I'm a huge fan of Wong.
Okay.
I like Gremlins and craziness. Nice. I think John did a great job on Terra. I think Jesse did a great job on MNSU and a few others. I think Chris did a great job on Garrus. So I definitely have some crews. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah. But that doesn't. I hesitate to say that because then people are like, oh, so the others are bad.
Well, no, but of course, I mean, when you're working on this, you're so close to it. It's you're living and breathing it every day. I'm sure there's going to be ones that you just feel, you really hit the mark on more than others. What is there something specific about Wong that you were particularly proud of? I don't think I've reviewed his cards since it first got released.
I like the balance between crazy randomness and not getting too overly complex or not mattering, right? Because when you do random mechanics like that, either it's like, this is going to hurt me way too much, so I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or it's just long, complicated chain of flip this, then do that. Right. I think it captures the crazy randomness while still being viable and not overly complex.
I feel like that's got to be a hard kind of line to walk, especially for the Bayou, because that's kind of their identity, is about the craziness and the wonkiness. But how do you make that work well and consistently without being boring? Right? Yeah, that's got to be tough to do.
Yeah. The best way to do it is usually have the randomness be multiple good things, but you don't know which one you're going to get. Yeah, maybe throw in one bad thing there, right? But yeah,
very cool, very cool. So we obviously have the launch of the 2-player starter box here. Seems like they're going like hotcakes. I know the website sold out within a few hours. I had people on my Discord going, I missed the starter box. I don't know if there's any left in the booth today. We're on day 3 today, so your luck may vary. Is there anything else that's coming out in the near future that you think people should really keep an eye out for?
So on the starter, they are left because we've been staggering them.
Okay,
if we
awesome.
They would be all out, but
That's
we should have
plan.
some every day.
Yeah.
In terms of like things that I'm really excited about, I mean, just the new sculpts, right? Like we are doing if you look at our model list and you figure out which ones were printed early in second edition and they haven't gotten a new sculpt yet,
they're
up for a new sculpt. So I would keep an eye on that. Like those are really cool. I've seen some of the art I can't really talk about, but yeah, that's really exciting.
Well, we'll all be keeping an eye out on that for sure. So now that the beta's over, so we're not going to be seeing the changes in the kind of fast pace that we've been seeing up until now. What does your role look like now that the game is like out and on the presses? Are you still focused on like keeping an eye on the meta and worrying about balance changes, or does your priorities shift somewhere else?
First priority will be getting a new Arcanist and 10 Thunders keyword. Since
that is a fantastic answer.
Yeah,
those are my two favorite factions.
So that's because they're short on keywords if you've been counting. So that's priority number one. In terms of keeping an eye on the meta, I think it'll take 6 months before people even figure out what the best strategy is. Right? 100%. Right now, people might think they know what the best strategy is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I do. I don't. Right? So I think it'll take 6 months for the meta to even shake out before you can really determine. Like, if you find an infinite loop or something like that, that's a problem.
Right.
We can address that.
Ping on the forums.
Right. But beyond that, in terms of like overall balance level, it'll be 6 months before we even know where things are sitting.
Sure.
But we'll always have an eye on it.
It's something I've always appreciated about the way that you guys balance the game, that you're not super reactionary. There are companies, I think, that will do updates and balance tweaks on like a very, very regular basis, and I feel like that's way too crazy. It's too reactionary. And then there's some that are like, oh, we'll do it every 2-3 years. I feel like every 6 months to a year is a good balance. Is that what you guys tend to target?
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people like that, some people don't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like physical product is involved, and anytime we print a new card, we invalidate things not just for players, but for distributors, for stores, and then newer players get in and they buy a box that has an old card and they don't know, and that that causes problems. So we are careful with those erratas, but we absolutely will do them. Like probably start of 2026, we'll do a thorough review of like the meta, how things are going, and start looking at like what needs to change and whatnot. Assuming there's not an emergency, like Longwood Infinite, that'd be a problem. Yeah.
So I suspect you can't tell me a lot about this, but you mentioned the Arcanists and the Thunders need a new master. Is that something that you already have the concept and are already testing, or is that something that you're kind of beginning work on now? I know you guys have been very busy over the last few months.
We will begin work on it once 4th is printed and shipped.
And done.
Yeah, because right now it's just all 4th edition updates all the time.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, always good to catch up with you. I know we are just about to kick off the Gen Con tournament here. I think it's the first big 4E event, so it's kind of the kickoff for the new edition, and very exciting stuff. The last question I want to ask you, and this is something that a lot of people have been talking about, and I've made a couple of videos on already. Obviously, terrain changed a whole bunch in the new edition. We've talked in the past about how that was a major design goal. We wanted terrain to matter more. We wanted the interactions to be a lot more fluid and kind of easier. It's one of the things that a lot of people have been saying that they really like. One of the issues I would say that poses for people is we need to refresh our boards, right? We need to change a lot of things. And I've done some experimenting and changing around some of my terrain setups. What advice can you give to people for the best way to set up your terrain for 4E to make it really work well with the new rules? And do you think that the tables that are here are good representations of what they should go for?
I think you're going to want 3 to 4 piece minimum of climbable terrain models can get on, whatever that is. And I think that my best piece of advice on that is get creative. Because I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, I need like a shack. I'm going to build a bunch of shacks. Like you can, but you could stack rocks. You could have tree stumps. You could have like, forklifts at construction sites. You could have shacks, right? We have some of our boards, we have boats like sunk in the bayou. So like, just because you need climbable terrain that models can be on doesn't mean they all need to be buildings. It's probably my best piece of advice. And you can build it yourself. We got our terrain from War Cradle mostly. I'm sure you've taken some pictures.
Yes.
And yes, I think that our boards here are a great representation of what you want. We worked really hard to get this here. I put in a lot of work by yelling at Nathan about what to order. It was very difficult.
Yes.
It was a very hard man to yell at.
Yeah.
But, Jesse and Kim and the people in the office had to put it all together
Yeah.
and glue it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've taken some pictures.
Yeah.
And, I think that these boards are good representations of what we want.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'll make sure that we show some of them up. I always post. I like looking at cool boards, so I usually post a video of all the tables when I go to a tournament. But I think this year in particular, they look very different. So I think people may not recognize them as Malifaux tables because so much has changed. But I think it's really exciting, and it means you can do a lot more fun stuff with the table. So that is something I'm looking forward to. I know Wyrd has already teased that there's going to be some more official terrain coming in the near future. I'm guessing you probably can't tell me a ton about that, but I assume the new terrain rules are something that's going to be heavily focused on height 2 and higher stuff and things like that. Is there anything you can tell us about that yet?
Just that it'll be focused around 4th edition rules and designed to work well with them.
Yeah. I assume it'll also be themed for Malifaux, so we can get some nice pretty city boards.
Oh no, we're going spaceport.
Oh, okay.
Spaceport,
yeah.
all the way.
Excellent. Yeah. We're going to the future, guys. Mm-hmm. You heard it here first. Awesome. Well, it's always good chatting with you. Thanks for coming on, and look forward there's going to be lots more on 4th edition very soon.
All right. Great being here. Thank you.
Stay tuned for more from Gen Con 2025. I want to send a huge thank you to the extremely cool kids tier on Patreon, the Steam Powered Scoundrels, Dogmatize, Spanner Rider, Tom Likely, Rob Younce, and Russets. And thanks for watching.